bony protuberance here in the talus, which is the sort of superior aspect of the foot. The most superior aspect of the foot kind of goes in and really begins to put a lot of pressure on this aspect, the lateral malleolus of the fibula. And so this is how sort of a fracture can occur when you slip, or you are doing some sort of a sporting event and you kind of twist your ankle. So this is a slide in general about the medical, quote, perspectives of the fibula. This fracture is one aspect, but there's this other aspect of bone grafts, because, as I mentioned to you, the fibula is not a weight-bearing bone, so you can kind of hop and jump around and do jumping jacks without the fibula, even after a segment of it has been removed or a portion of it has been removed, and you can sort of use it to help graft or heal another bone during severe like trauma accidents. I guess the other thing to kind of realize is that when you're replacing a bone, you kind of also want to take this periosteum, and so remember this is sort of this area on the outside of the bone that is really filled with innervation. It's also filled with arteries running through, and so there's also stem cells there that are natural and endemic to the bony region. And so you kind of want to take those areas, and when you put them into somewhere else, if everything works out well, which doesn't always happen, you can restore sort of the blood supply to the bone, because these bones also have this cavity in them that allows them to produce blood cells, the marrow. So you have also in this sort of fibula, we didn't really take a look at what it was in anatomical terms. We just kind of jumped into this medicinal applications of it. Anatomically, it's posterolateral to the tibia. Serves mainly as muscle attachment, as I mentioned to you before. The lateral malleolus holds the talus in its socket, and so we'll see that the talus is, again, that bone of the foot, and this is sort of the socket area where you have this connection between the leg and the ankle, forming the talocrural joint. The shaft of the tibia and the fibula are connected by this interosseous membrane here, and so this would be in part a type of syndesmosis joint that we've looked at earlier on in the semester. So let's move into the foot for a second, and before we kind of look at the ankle region and the bones of the foot in more detail. So this fractures of the foot bone, calcaneal fractures. So the calcaneus is sort of the heel bone. These calcaneal fractures occur in someone that happens to fall down and their heels hit first. Like they gave an example in your text of someone falling from a ladder. And so when that happens, the force of impact is pretty strong, as you might imagine. So you have something called a comminuted fracture. This is just really almost like a shattering of the bone. So it's another little medical terminology for you guys to be able to associate with this lower leg and the lower limb, rather. And so this disrupts the subtalar joint where the talus articulates with the calcaneus. And so this is the calcaneus here, this is the talus up here. So when you kind of have these fractures, you sort of be disrupting this joint right here. And so we'll see, I guess I want you to be able to associate the subtalar joint with the union of the calcaneus and the talus, and then the talocrural joint with the union of the tibia and the fibula with the talus. And so you have one on top and the other one on the bottom. Metatarsals and phalanges can also be sort of fractured and messed up in athletes. Ballet dancers have this thing called a dancer's fracture, and this occurs in the metatarsal of bones of the foot. And when these women or men, I guess, get on the points of their toes, and it kind of bears weight in the wrong way, and you can kind of snap these bones. So the talus articulates with all the following bones except A, the cuboid, B, the navicular, C, the calcaneus, D, the tibia, or E, the fibula. This one is a little bit of a visual puzzle. You kind of have to really have a little bit clear in your head what articulates with what, but we'll kind of go in and see certain trends in these bones to know that, let's say, the cuboid is the most sort of lateral bone, and so knowing that, we can have an idea more or less, and recall where it's really associated with relative to the other bones of the body, like the talus. And so the foot itself, you break it down into sort of three general areas: the tarsus, the metatarsals, and the phalanges. And so the metatarsals is actually would be sort of the individuals in the metatarsus. And what I kind of want you to really be able to understand and take away from here is just, we'll break down all these areas individually right now. And I'd like you just to know the relative positions of all of these bones to each other. This is a sort of a superior view of the foot looking down on it. This is the heel, the posterior aspect. This is the anterior aspect. And we'll kind of go through all of these areas here. This is a talus that we've been talking about, and this is where it articulates with the tibia. And so the tarsus, which is this area here, is made up of 7 bones: the calcaneus, the talus, this cuboid, navicular, and 3 cuneiform bones. And